I'd like to talk to you a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of the things that happened from my side of the story. There's been a lot written and a lot said about what happened to me, but never from my side.
Hi guys, welcome back to a new episode of Let's Talk Elvis, and today I'm joined with a very, very special friend, Ellie. Ellie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good now, girl. I've been looking forward to this for so long.
I know, same. I've always wanted to have like a long chat with you. Like at Elvis Week, we just kind of like kept bumping into each other, but like for short periods. But like
No,
we
exactly.
need a chat, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I always say, like, if I could sit down with every single person during Elvis week for just like to talk about Elvis for the whole night, I would do so because like you especially, like whenever I ran into you, I was like, oh my gosh, I love her so much. Because it was our first time meeting, I think, right?
Yeah,
Your first
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, she's just as lovely as she comes across does online. And like I just want to like take her for coffee and just sit there and talk about EP all day long. And so now is our chance.
This is the time.
This is the time. I love it so much. Yay! I've been like a huge admirer of your account and just what you do online forever, like ever since I found you. So just getting that
Likewise,
out there.
likewise.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, like you just I don't know. You have like such a aura about you, like, and the love you have for him shines through literally everything that you do and say and post. And you've just been like an inspiration for me for a very long time. So I'm honored to have you here.
Thank you. And well, yours was one of the first pages I followed even before I had an Elvis account. So
Oh,
yeah, there you go. So
oh my gosh.
the feeling's mutual, I promise
Oh,
you.
thank you. Thank you. When did you make your account? I am always so bad at like figuring out when people came here.
I think just about maybe a year and a half ago, maybe,
Okay.
I
Oh my
think.
gosh.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. So, like, fairly recently, not really, but,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know, a
yeah. I
year
was always a bit,
flies.
like, scared to do it, but I just went for
Yeah,
it.
I love that. Some people will say that too, like, "Oh, I wanna make an account, I just don't know what to post," but, like, you figure it out, you, like, get your groove and your own little niche.
Yeah, exactly, and I always say, like, people say, I have people message me like, "How did you grow? How did you" things like this,
Mhm.
but I always answer, I genuinely just do everything from a place of love, and I will never turn up if it's not from a place of love, you know?
Yeah.
And that's it, like, I don't kind of go, like, chasing anything or things like that. It genuinely is I just post from a place of love and hope
Yeah.
it's received well, and that's it. That's it, 'cause it is genuine from me and my
Yeah.
heart. So, when it's received well, it's always, like, just so nice because 'cause we're all sharing, like, the same kind of feeling, and that's what
Yes.
is important to me, and, like, the love
Yes.
that's there, and, like, it's so powerful, and people so yeah, just people when they feel that love and you all feel it together, it's just like this community feel that is like no other. Like I've never experienced anything like that.
Yeah. I think about that all the time, like, first of all, what you're saying completely resonates because I think it really does show that everything you do from love. And I think like people like you are what make this community so great because it is just like a bunch of people coming together and just being like real and open with their feelings and like the love that they have for Elvis and how he's impacted their lives and everything like that. And I've really seen that from your page like from day one and I love it so much. And that's what makes this community so awesome because like you're saying you all come together and I don't know, I feel like there's nothing I can't say here that people are going to be like that's a little bit weird, like
Yeah, yeah,
people from the community get it and I love that like this is the place where you can come for that and like for that understanding
yeah.
um of those feelings, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And like I said, I've said to you before, but the feeling is mutual. Like when you post, you can tell it's straight from the heart and you put a lot of feeling into that, but it's felt, and
Yeah.
that's what's great about the whole community. Like people, you can feel when people talk about Elvis, how much he means
Mhm.
to them, and Elvis, Lisa, you can just see
Yeah.
and you can feel that.
Yes. Yeah, that reminded me that you do post a lot about Lisa too and I love that because
I love Lisa.
yeah, talk about like, did you listen to her music, like, since you were I don't know, like, what's your history with her?
I discovered her. It was, you know, like I started my Elvis journey,
Mhm.
and then I started to learn about Lisa, and I was like, my gosh, like she was on a mission her whole life to be understood
Yeah.
as her, not
Yeah.
as Elvis's daughter.
Mhm.
And I think, so to me, it's so important to keep her legacy going too. And I
Mhm.
just, it's a deep feeling that I had of like, she was so cool, and but she was also so misunderstood.
Yes, yeah.
And it taps into like how Elvis is, you know, he's also misunderstood.
Yep.
And like I said it in my post the other day, like we're still listening, like we're trying to understand Lisa, but we're still listening, and we're still listening to lyrics. She put so much
Mhm.
feeling into what she did. And so to me, yeah, I kind of found her on my Elvis path and just recognized how amazing she is. And
Yeah.
I said it in an interview with Angie, and I said, like, she to me is like, you have Elvis is the core, but she's like the heart. She helped keep his legacy going.
Absolutely.
And you can feel that love. You can feel that love that she had as, you know, like as a daughter. She
Mhm.
just fearlessly loved, and she didn't want, you know, she was his protector.
Yeah.
And well, now I think the community is not just his protector, but hers too. You know,
Yeah.
like, and so that's why, you know, and then I started it was at the very start. I also started listening to her music, and I was like, wow, like she had so much feeling. She was fierce. She was unapologetically her. She was, you know, she was just amazing. So
Yeah.
you know, I kind of found her love on my path as well as Elvis's love, and they just are,
Yeah.
you know, as one. That's how I see it. As just they're two very separate people, but they're
Yes.
my love for them is one. You know.
That's so amazing. I love listening to people talk about her, because likewise, like, I hadn't really listened to her music, um, honestly, until she, like, passed, because I ended up, like, getting to meet her, like, 4 days before she passed away, and, like, from the moment that I met her, I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, she did, like, she had a whole life, and I kind of am interested to, like, research that now. And then I remember thinking, like, "Oh, if she ever goes on tour again, I totally wanna go see her, like, I just wanna, like, talk to her more," I all these things, and then she ended up passing away, and I was like, "There are so many parallels between her and her dad." But also she was fighting, like, her whole life to not like, it wasn't like a "I don't wanna be tied to you" type of thing, because I never got that vibe from her. Like, she was always proud of him and,
Mhm.
like, proud to have been his daughter, which I love, and that comes across very apparently in everything she did.
Mhm.
Um, but, like, yeah, also, like, that individuality and, like, fighting to be, like, seen as her own person and, like, not walking in the footsteps of what was expected of her, and, like, she's inspired me in so many ways, as well as Elvis too, and, yeah, I love that, like, you celebrate and recognize her as well as her dad, but, like, also give them both, like, their own respective, like, um moment, because 'cause they're both, like,
Mhm.
very differently creative and differently talented and all of that, and like you're saying, all these adjectives always come to mind when I think of Lisa, like, she was just, like, she's such a full person, like, and she gave herself very similarly to the way her dad did to
Mhm.
people that she
Mhm.
did not owe anything to, and, like, could have so easily stepped out of that light and said, like, you know, "Those are not that's not my thing," because I feel like she was, like, a more of a shy person, but she always took the time, and she always respected her dad in a way that I have not seen anybody else
Mhm.
do, and I just love her. I love her so much.
Yeah, even in some of her lyrics, when she sings about her
Yes.
dad, it's
Yes.
just like it's just I can't even explain it, but you feel what she's saying. You
Yeah.
feel exactly what she's saying,
Yeah. You
and
get that. You understand that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think for me, it is very much like she did have to fight for that individuality of like, yes, I am proud to be his daughter, but I am also me. And I,
Right.
I write my songs, listen to my lyrics, like things like that, like,
Mm.
and it was so important to her. And
Yeah.
so to me, it's like in her legacy, it needs, that individuality needs to, it's not just like, I like Elvis, I like Lisa because that's his daughter. I like Lisa
Yes.
because it's Lisa. And I
Yes,
like Elvis
absolutely.
because it's Elvis. Two
Elvis.
completely different, they're very similar, but two very completely different people.
Absolutely.
And because she used to fight for that individuality, I think it's only right to have that, like, in my content, for example, like
Mhm.
that is just very, like, very, I can't even think of the word, but it's very important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, and I know she would so appreciate that because, yeah, I mean, I feel like people expected her all of her life to be one way, and she didn't follow the mold that people had made for her, and the same way her dad did not do. So, like,
Mm.
I don't know, just, like, super inspiring, and like you're saying, like, she in a way that we didn't get from Elvis because he didn't write his own, songs, she did, and she was a songwriter, and, like, a poet, and, like, all of the and you could, like, see her point of view on things and, like, her heart and her soul come out through her songs, and I love that because that's such like a privilege that I feel like not taking anything away from Elvis because being a performer is different from being a songwriter. I personally feel like
Yeah.
it's not like two different it doesn't make you a better artist if you write your own songs, but
Mhm.
if you do write your own songs, you get like an insight into their humanity in a way that you don't if, they do covers all the time. So that with
Yeah.
Lisa is like a gift.
You get to sort of walk through her mind. Like, that's
Yes.
honestly, it's like how we walked through the mind of Elvis through his notes and his books. We
Yeah,
walked through
exactly.
Lisa's mind through her songs and how she
Exactly.
was feeling, and and how passionate she was about being that songwriter, and
Right.
and being herself, and just unapologetically being
Yes.
her,
Yes.
which
Yep.
is like Elvis was unapologetically him in a completely different way.
Right, right.
And
And
she
I
took
do
that, I think she
yes,
understood that.
yes, she, like, carried that with her, and, like, so people who say, like, "Oh, like, she should be more like her dad," whatever, she is, like, she is her father's daughter, like, she learned so much from watching him and how he lived his life, and even though she didn't live, like, a copy paste of his life and, like, she didn't sing the music he sang, whatever, she, like, realized, like, the strengths that she saw in her dad, and I do feel like she took that with her, and a lot of those strengths that she had, she exhibited because of him, almost, like,
Mhm.
growing up watching him, and then again, just, like, how much she loves him, it was just, like, apparent through everything, and I don't know, I remember this one story that I read that there was, like, people at the gates or whatever when she was a little kid, and they were like, "I'll give you, like, this much money if you take this camera upstairs and, like, take your dad's picture and then, like, bring it back to me at the
Oh my
gates."
gosh.
And then she was like for a minute, she thought about it, but then she, like, took the camera and she, like, chucked it or something, like, in front of them, like, into the bushes, and they were like, "What are you doing? Like, that's my camera." And she was like, "Hope you rot." Like, she was like, "No, I'm not doing that, like, that's my dad." And so I feel like she just brought that energy even to, like, her, like, last days, like, when I saw her
Mm.
during birthday, it was like, "Oh my gosh, she cares so much," and you can tell she loves him and it's genuine, and I've always respected that about her.
I am very jealous of your tattoo. It's a one of a kind.
Yes.
That is,
Yes.
that's something special.
Uh, yeah, yeah.
And
I was
the
never a
photo,
tattoo girly, but what'd you
yeah,
say? Sorry.
the photo of your
Yes.
tattoo in the exhibit, that was like that was like such a touching photo. I just thought, wow, like
Thank
I'm
you.
jealous of that. That's something great.
Thank you. It will never I mean, I remember, like, going to her memorial service, and, like, that was completely, like, an answer to prayer that I was even able to be there, but I was like, "This will never happen again," like, we were not there for Elvis, right? We couldn't be,
Hmm.
but, like, this is, like, the next s I don't even know what to call it. It's, like, the next level thing where we could go and pay our respects to this family that we love so much. Like, it was Lisa, and, like, it was so not weird, but it was, like, such, like, a eye-opening, like, experience. Like, all these people gathered for him, and then all these people gathered for her after, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like, that kind of thing will never happen to me again. I mean, there's nobody in that family really. I mean, like, Riley, of course, like, I'm not saying the family's gone, but, like, she was, like, his last tie, you know what
Mhm.
I mean? So
That's
it's
why I
like,
always say she is like the heart. Elvis is the
yes,
core, and Elvis's
yes.
heart is in the core, but
Mhm,
she is like she's like this protective layer of heart over him,
yes.
and that's why that's that is a lot of the reason why everything is what it is today, and
Mhm,
why for example, why his bedroom is still protected.
yeah,
It was her wish, and people respect that because she protected everything she could,
yes,
and
yeah,
people respect it because, well, that's her dad.
mm,
We have to listen. Whereas,
mhm,
if that wasn't her wish, who knows? Who
right,
knows? Who knows what would happen if people could just go upstairs? We just don't know.
right,
But she was so protective over it.
right,
It's things like that, like small things like that, where every decision had a deep thought process of,
mhm,
you know, would my dad like that? Would think that thought process was behind
mhm,
decisions, and I think that's why certain decisions are respected so much because it was like it was Lisa's decision
absolutely.
and she was fearlessly protective, and I admire that.
I relate to that as well. Like, I mean, I obviously we never knew him, but I feel such protectiveness over him. And
Hmm.
I think that's like a reason I connected so much with her. And I still do because she exhibited that as well, very, very like boldly and proudly. Like, she was
Hmm.
proud to be um his kid. Like, I don't know, through everything that she said, and like, she didn't do too many interviews. She didn't, like, we have this book coming out, which is something huge, because she just didn't do that kind of stuff, which I almost respected more as well. Like, she wasn't out there like profiting off of and like telling all of his secrets and like being,
Hmm.
it wasn't that. It was always, well, I don't really want to talk about that because of this and this, or like, she kept things locked away, but then she also shared things that she thought should be shared. Like, I don't know, she was just a very unique individual when it came to Elvis history and like sharing his story and things like that. And there'll never be another person like her, which is sad because, yeah, like, she set the bar for so much and she's done so much for him,
Hmm.
um, that will forever be like appreciated by all of us, I know for a fact.
Yeah, and then we continue with that. I think we
Yeah.
see how she fought
Mhm.
to be heard
Yep.
within protecting her dad. And we hear that, and we understand that, and we understand that that's also to think of her when we're doing what we're doing and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 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 to keep that in mind and do things in a way, and I've always kind of carried myself, that way through the community as well. Like, would he be okay with this? Would this make him proud?
Mhm.
Like, I am here for him, so
Yeah.
is what I'm doing reflecting that? And, likewise with, like, what you're saying with her, like, every decision that she made, it was, would he be okay with this? Would this make him proud? Does
Mhm.
this align with things that I, know he valued? Things like that. And so, yeah, I relate very, very deeply to, like, that protectiveness over him and, like, what you do and
Mhm.
all that stuff very much.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think that's another like link is that you see that in us as fans. You see,
Yeah.
which is why it's an amazing community to be
Yeah.
a part of. I say it like every day. I'm grateful every day to be part of
Yes.
the community that's just like from the heart.
Because this, like, whole series I'm doing is about, like, connection and me being like connected to all you lovely people, but also like how Elvis connects himself to all of us. So I was wondering how you found Elvis and like if you can share that connection story with me because I'd love to know.
Mm-hmm. So my dad always used to play Elvis, and there's I used to think, oh, it's a good song, but that was about it. And
Yeah.
then the movie came out,
Mm-hmm.
and there was something that happened because I went out to my car after the movie, and I was like, I actually thought in my head, what do I do now? I posted on my story on Instagram. I said,
Yeah.
what do I do now? I've just watched a film that's changed my life.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I meant every single word of that. I did not, you
Yeah.
know? And an hour later, I went back in and watched it again. And because I was like, what is this? What has happened right now? I felt
Right.
like a shift of something happened.
Yeah.
And you know that people say, like, oh, sometimes, like you do one thing and then it unlocks a new path that you didn't even know was part of your path. Went back in and I watched it and I just kept going back and watching it. I was like hooked and I was like, what is going on? And then, because I've never watched a movie that's like that,
Yeah.
I've never watched a movie that is literally like, my life has just changed without,
Yeah.
I didn't know I meant it when I was like, I said that.
Right.
And then, I kept watching it and then I was like, the aura that this movie has, right, which is Elvis's aura,
Right.
is like a magnet, and I needed to understand it. I needed to, and I just started to like research who Elvis was as a human being. His songs are great. I listen to them every day. It wouldn't be a day complete if I didn't listen to Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
But it's who he was and still is in this community as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and how he still teaches us things. He's still, he's just incredible. And I
Yeah.
needed to read as much as I could. I needed to, read books, but make my own opinion. And
Mm-hmm.
I just went into like this Elvis deep diving hole, and I'm still in it.
Still doesn't come out.
I'm in
I
it now.
I love that so much. And that's like I am like because it's a thought that I always have, but then like people say it and it's like, oh, it's actually real. That like Elvis, I feel like you said it's like a magnet. Like you felt like you were being like pulled into something that you didn't quite understand, but like you knew it was something important, something that was changing you as you like sat there and viewed it. And I always feel like that's so true. I feel like he almost, which might seem like weird to people who don't get it, but like he almost like picks you out. Like he chooses almost like it is like the path that you take. You do one thing and it kind of just changes the whole trajectory of everything. Like you can attest, like you never thought that maybe like watching that movie or starting your account or whatever would lead you to where you are right now. But it
No,
did. And like that's the magic I feel that he has. Like he can just change your whole life just by like picking you out one day and being like, "Oh, like she would make a good." I don't even know. I don't even want to say fan, but it's like she gets it. Like
yeah,
she understands it and like she would be great at sharing that. And I don't know, not to like make him feel like he's God, but I do
no,
really
no.
feel like
But
fans are like picked out almost.
I agree, and I think we are. It's like we're picked out at the time we need him the most.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that,
Yeah.
and it leads
Yeah.
you then on a path that you genuinely didn't, know you needed, but you're then
Absolutely.
on this path, and you're like on that path. There's no coming off it.
No, you're like, this is who I am. And people ask me like what brings me joy or like someone asked me like recently, like, what's one thing that like gets you up every day? What's one thing you look forward to every day? And I was like, this, like working on like researching this one person and just like sharing
Mhm.
that love with other people. Like it truly brings me joy that I can't compare it to anything else. Like I'm a happy person, but like this is like a different level of like
Mhm.
joy. I don't know.
Yeah, and we have like our favorite place, and
Yes.
it will never change, and it's
Yes.
even there, like even at Graceland, it's like this magnetic feel, and you just feel safe, and you feel like it's home. And everyone,
Mm.
when you talk to everyone, they all feel the same. They all feel the
Yeah.
exact same feeling.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like, but you know, when I, you know, if I go back like 2-3 years ago in my life, I didn't know I needed this. I didn't know I needed Elvis on my path. And
Right.
I genuinely think he finds people, you know, you find Elvis when you need him the most.
Yep.
And when you
Agreed.
then, because it's not even just about like the music, like I said, you become like enlightened. You become like educated on things that have like a deep, because, you know, like reading the books he read, or like the
Mhm.
extracts, and you learn things, and you learn a different way of life from
Absolutely.
somebody else's perspective. And you're like, wow, like he was, I say it all the time, but that just that the writing where he says like, when you're not in love, you're not alive.
Yeah.
Like that's the truest thing I've ever read,
Yeah.
ever.
Oh. No, it's so true. And like I love I didn't even know how much like I needed to do this series and like sit down and talk with people, because I learned so much just from like connecting with other fans about
Mhm.
him and about like just like feelings I didn't even know I had, like all of these things. But then like yeah, like you're saying, especially him, he's taught me more about life and about myself than I could have ever dreamed of knowing. In like 23 years of life, girl, I've learned more about myself through loving him and like researching his life and like learning how to share a human life and like understand that not everything is black and white, but also like take the things that he, like you're saying, his point of view and like his his path and like the things that he experienced, and then, like, think about that, and it changes me, and then through loving him and, like, knowing people and experiencing things, and I every day I learn more about myself and about what I value and what I like, what's important to me, and it's like, I can't believe it, like, I honestly, even talking about it, I'm like, how am I, like, shaped by somebody that I've never really fully even met? It's crazy.
Mhm. And I think if he was to know that about his legacy, he would be so proud, because I
Yeah.
think that was a huge part of his life, was always learning and like, you know,
Mhm.
like discovering things and reading things. And so to help enlighten other people,
Yeah.
see different ways of seeing, and he would be so happy. I know it because of, you know, we didn't know him, but I know it because of
Right.
all that he read and all he discovered and the journey that he went on.
Mhm.
I think it was important to him to move people in a way like that.
Yeah.
That's why he
Yeah.
always read books to people. Like he would hang out and be like, "Can I read this book to you? Can I read the Bible to you?" Like
Yeah.
he was very aware
Yeah.
of an influence, and to be like, how can I make these people see life differently? Of how can I make people wake up? You know,
Yeah.
like
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. I think about, like I'm on, like, a Larry Geller kick right now because I got to see him during Elvis Week, and I love him so much. But, like, in one of his books, he wrote how Elvis was talking to him, I think, in so many words or whatever, I'm, like, paraphrasing, but he was like, "If I could just, like, impact one person, I'll know that I did something with my life. If something
mhm,
I does, like, changes just one person, I'll know that, like, I had success." And,
yeah,
like, that to me is so beautiful because he had everything. He had anything he could want. He had a life of luxury and fame and notoriety and, like, beautiful glory, and, like, all he wanted was to reach people and, like, change people, make people happy. Like, it didn't all of that other stuff didn't mean anything if he wasn't reaching somebody and, like, impacting somebody, and to think that he's still doing that, like, he's been gone for 47 years and he's still like, lives changed because
yeah,
of him, like, I would not be here talking to you if it weren't for him, like,
yeah,
it just blows my mind, it blows my
yeah.
mind.
And I think that's what he would be most proud of. I
Yeah,
genuinely do. I
yeah,
genuinely think he would be like, wow, like I'm people are listening to me still.
yeah, nuts. Because he never thought that would be a thing, he never thought he did enough, that
Mhm.
people would even remember him a year after he was gone, let alone 47. Like,
Hmm.
I think he'd just be
Yeah,
shocked.
yeah, 100%. And I think it's just such a nice feeling to think about that, like to think about how the amount of people I've spoken to that they genuinely their lives have been changed, like they've seen things differently because of something they read that he wrote,
Yeah.
just something like that. And I think everyone has like a great appreciation for his music, but
Hmm.
they have an even bigger appreciation for who he was, and I think he would be so happy with that. He loved making
Yes.
music, he loved performing, but for people to, like take time to be like, who was this person,
Yeah.
and learn things, I think he'd be like, wow. I think he'd be like, that was what I wanted all along, maybe. I don't know. We don't
Y-
know, but
Yeah.
genuinely, I think it would mean a lot to him.
I absolutely agree. And yeah, like we don't know exactly. All we have are these little puzzle pieces from writings and like insights, like you're saying, like the books and things in his notes, and then just like obviously accounts from people who knew him. But like I think being understood or misunderstood was like his biggest fear. He just thought that like nobody, they knew like Elvis Presley in the jumpsuit, but they didn't know like his soul and like what mattered to him and the things that like he valued. And so yeah, I feel like if he knew that people actually cared, yes, about the albums and the movies and the success of his career, and it was still relevant today, like yes, it's a huge win, but then to like think that we love him too for just who he was, and without all of
Hmm.
that other stuff, we would still love him anyways.
Hmm.
I think that that is like the most important thing to me. um, and I feel like you as well, like, I love
Hmm.
that we both view, and there's nothing wrong with, like, just appreciating his career and
A
his
hundred percent.
things like that.
You're still appreciating Elvis. Like we all have our different
Exactly,
ways of appreciation. I always say this, like there's no right or wrong way to
to
love
love him.
Elvis.
Exactly.
There is not. There really, really is not. Love is love.
Right. Right.
That's
Yeah. Yep, and he was for everybody, he wanted to be, and he knew that, like, people, you can love his movies and not listen to his music, or you can love his music and not wanna read the books about his life, like, but at the end of the day, he's still remembered in each like individual way for something, for a chunk of his life, and I think that that's important. But I also just love though when people like recognize like there's a whole person behind all of that stuff, and
yeah,
like I love that person too, because it's easy
yeah.
to fall in love with an image of somebody and put them on this pedestal and think like Elvis is a hero, he's a superhero, you know he's he's Elvis Presley, but then, like, also taking him down for that and just saying, like, yeah, he's like that kid who grew up in Tupelo and just lived an extraordinary life. And there's,
Mhm.
deepness to that and like layers to that. And that's like what always intrigues me. So I love that about you as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important to
Yeah.
also acknowledge he wasn't perfect,
Yeah.
and to acknowledge that is also a form of love. I think a lot of people think
Mhm.
he's my hero. I could never. I've had conversation with people before where it's like, no, he did nothing wrong, and it's like we're humans. We all have
Yeah.
bad days. And it's honestly a disservice to him to not
Yes.
treat him as as an equal person to all of us.
Hmm.
We all make mistakes. We all, have anger sometimes, or we're
Hmm.
upset sometimes. It's so important to acknowledge that, and to not just kind of
Absolutely.
like brush it under the carpet of like, like, oh, but I won't think of that. No, I personally think of all of it, and have an understanding that we are all human and
Yeah.
we are equal. We're all equal, and just as Elvis was, still,
Absolutely.
I always say still is.
Yes. Yes, no, me, always present tense, always,
Mhm.
for many reasons.
Mm.
Um, no, and that's so true, and I love how you say, like, it's a disservice to put him up on that pedestal because it is, like, it's so unfair to expect somebody to be a perfect person because he was not, and he knew that he wasn't, and that's a huge thing that played out in his life too, like reasons why he didn't share, or reasons why he felt like he had to hide things or push
Mhm.
himself when he wasn't feeling great, or different things, because he felt like people expected something of him that he struggled at certain times to provide, because it's unnatural for anybody to be able to be expected to be 100% perfect all the time. And so, yeah, I do really feel like I feel sorry for him when people put him up there and think that he could do no wrong, because it's not fair. Like, let him be a human. He was just like you and me. And like, to expect things of him that we ourselves could not even do is just
Mhm.
not fair.
And imagine, I always think, like, imagine we were in a position where you were constantly 24/7 accessible.
Right.
And people were
Watched.
always looking at you, taking
Yep.
photos of you, and you were
Yeah.
always trying your very, very best to give, 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 because that is what Elvis was.
Hmm.
It would take its toll, because we're all human. Like, imagine being in that. I can't even imagine
I know.
to be in that. Like, that would be too much. So
Mhm.
the amount he gave, like, and in that position, is just phenomenal to even think of. And
Yeah.
that's I have huge respect that he continued to just give, 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 give,
Yes. Yes.
and show up. And
Yes.
it could have been so easy for him to be like, you know what, I'm not gonna turn up today. I'm not
Yep.
gonna. And then I think people wonder, like, I think people say, like, and then he was like in his room locked away, like they have like a negative feel about that. I
Mhm.
would need that. I would need that alone time if I
Yeah.
was constantly pulled, and take. I would need my alone time, and I would be
Yes.
like, I'm locking myself in my room.
Yep.
You
Absolutely.
know,
I do.
it's an
Yeah.
energy thing as well. Like, it's an energy thing of like, take. There's only so much like
You
our
can.
energy to give, so we have to recharge. And I think when people
Yes.
say, "Oh, he was locked in his room," that's so sad. No, I think he was recharging so that he could always show up.
Absolutely. And girl, I do that. And I have Elvis Presley's life? Absolutely not. I go to work and I have a stressful day and I'm like, I just need to like recharge my social battery, and like I'm feeling burnout, so I'm going to go watch a movie in my room and light a candle. Like, that is
Yeah.
such a human thing to do. And like, you're not a recluse because you're spending time alone and by yourself. Like, people need that. And that's what we're trying to say too, is like, he was a human being who needed human things. Like, it's just to be expected. And like you're saying too, he just gave and gave, and like, you can't even imagine. I can't even imagine just what he did and what he continued to like give to people, given the state he was in sometimes, and just like his health and he was tired and all these things. Like, that to me is what makes him my hero. Like, it's not that he's perfect, it's not that he did
Yeah.
everything right and that he was to be like I don't know, praised for being the perfect person, but it's
Mhm.
because he was imperfect and he continued to be a genuine loving soul in spite of imperfection. That's what makes him a hero to me.
And like, he always turned up with love and
Mhm.
kindness. And yes, there'll be times, where you hear like, then he argued with someone or something. But yeah, because we
Right.
all have our points where we just think,
Yeah.
oh, like, it's just, that's okay. And
Yeah.
he was, just because he argued with someone, or, there was I don't know, you see a photo where he argued with something like that.
Yeah.
It's, I appreciate seeing that, because then I'm like,
Yeah.
it justifies, what justifies is the sense of like, I think justifies the wrong word, but I'm like, that's human. There is
Yeah.
a human. I appreciate to see that, because it's a human thing to do. Or
Right.
I know that, like, a lot of stories probably aren't true, and we only have 50% of the story.
Mhm.
But it's also like having that understanding of like, well, even if it is true, it's very human to lash out sometimes. We all
Yeah.
do it. There's nobody that does not do it.
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah. Nobody, like,
So
how dare you get mad? Like, no,
yeah,
that's not
we
a
all have
thing.
like a breaking point, I think. And
Yes.
he was very patient, and he, you know, it's very rare you hear a story like that, but I always take it with a pinch of salt anyway, because we only know 50%
Oh yeah,
of the story. And
correct.
I always say, I was actually having this conversation not long ago, but I always say I'm actually really glad he doesn't have a book, and I used to want him to have a book so
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Actually, would we be on this like quest to find out who he was if the book was there? No. And I think we
no.
wouldn't learn as much about ourselves. We
Mhm.
wouldn't learn as much about him, and, you know, different points of views and piecing it together. And I'm
Yeah,
grateful he doesn't have a book, because my gosh, I love deep diving and thinking and piecing things together and getting deep in thought of like, wow, you know, who is this person? Or like, I don't know, just little things, and
yeah,
like reading his notes and thinking, oh, that was his thought process right then. If we had a book, we would be like, okay, that's done. There's not
yeah,
really much thought process behind it, because then you're reading his words and then
right.
you're not deep in thought
Yeah,
like we are on a quest now to like find things out, you know. But I
I
still
completely
want
agree.
it. I used to want
Yeah,
it desperately, but I thought
yeah,
so long and hard, and I wouldn't be who I was
no,
and taken on a journey that I am on and have been on if the book was that easily just like, let me just pick this off the shelf and read it.
right. Accessible. Yeah. And like you're saying, like we've talked about it before, but we've learned so much about ourselves. It's like it is a journey, and it's learning about somebody else teaches you so much about yourself too. And it's because nothing about a human life of 42 years can be black and white. Like there are reasons why, and there are explanations, and there's logic to it. And then sometimes there's not, and then you're left like wondering, and that wonder has its magic about it as well. And it's like, yeah, if you didn't have, or if you did have the book, you there would be, it would lack that element of that journey of
Mystery.
finding, yeah, mystery, and yeah, exactly, like the excitement, and also like that just like hunger to know and to keep finding and to be like, oh, this is like, what else was he thinking during this stage in his life when this and this was going on? Like, I don't know, it's up to us now. And I feel like it's a big responsibility, but it's something that so many people in this community do so well and so beautifully, as like I always call it like carrying that torch and like continuing to look and continuing to find out more about him and search for him, because the more that we do that, the more we can share his truth and his story, and I feel like that at the heart of everything is what we're all trying to do.
Yeah,
So, it's important.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And
Yeah.
I just, that essence of mystery is exactly what Elvis was and is.
Embodied.
It's
Yeah.
that he was a mysterious man. We cannot,
Yeah.
you know, and I think that's
Yeah.
why people also are so magnetic. Like, he was mysterious. Like, what's he thinking? Like, why does he
Mhm.
have this feel to him? You know?
Yeah.
And I love that it remains like that, actually.
Yeah, and there is an element of mystery too in just being a fan as well. It's like little things that you're like, how is it that one day, like, I just watched like a movie, or like you watched the movie, or like somebody watches the Aloha special, something happens, and it's like,
Yeah,
how are you how does that change your life?
yeah,
Like, it's just a movie, or it's just a performer, or whatever it is. It's like there is that element of like, wait, like magical. It is kind of like a magic moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And it's funny because people that have seen it haven't had that same connection. They're like, but what
Yeah.
is it? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't answer it. It's a
Yeah.
mystery. I don't know.
Yep.
It's hit some people completely different to other people. People have gone and watched a movie and that's about it. You know, I go and
Mhm.
watch movies all the time. But certain people have been like moved in, and have found themselves on this journey of like, I need to know more. I need to, you know, I think when you tap into that love, and
Mhm.
like even this whole community, you're like, what? I've never experienced this. Like the candlelight vigil,
Yeah.
I couldn't stop crying. And that's because I could feel this, like this,
Yeah.
everybody had gathered
Yes.
out of appreciation and love. And it was deeply moving.
Yes.
And like, imagine just like when I came back out and I just looked at all those candle lights going up the drive, I thought, this is magnificent. Like
Yeah.
this is luxury right here, to actually witness a love like this.
Mhm.
This is something I can't even, like I can't even explain, but to
Right.
witness it, that is a
Right.
privilege.
Yeah. Goosebumps even like thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I
Have
remember
no,
we
you
like I walked past you
yes.
and I
Yes.
can't, I'll cry again.
No, and I literally remember that specific moment so well because I remember like seeing you and you were just like sobbing and I was like there's no and I was like no, I'm going to start crying, but there was like absolutely zero like filter, zero like embarrassment, zero anything. I was like, she gets it. And it's okay. Like, she is one of the people here who just, everybody here is feeling something tonight. And it's okay to like show that because no one's going to judge you here. Like, everybody's here for the same reason. And
Hmm.
that love is powerful, man. Like, the night of the vigil, it will, I always say, if you've never been, it'll change your life to see how strong love can be. Like, I have never ever experienced anything that powerful in my life. Like, and what was it this year? Like, the heat index was like 111 or something wild. Like, it was crazy. And people were passing out. People were like, like there was water at every like corner. And people still came out and weathered it and stood there for hours on end to walk past his grave
Yeah.
and
And
show
even
how
though it
much they
was
cared.
just, like what, like 10 seconds,
Yeah,
worth it. I would queue
what
for hours. I would queue for
worth it.
hours. I would queue the whole night. I don't care.
Yep. Yeah. And
I'm
that's what's so
showing up for him,
beautiful.
like
Yes. Yeah.
it's just, yeah. And I had never experienced anything like that, witnessing that before. Like when I
Mhm.
came back out and I just like stood back and I just witnessed all those candle lights and I was like, this is just amazing. Like all these years later too. Like this is, I
I know.
can't.
I
I
know.
can't even.
It's you wouldn't believe it if you don't see it. It's really true. I have people ask like, "Oh, like people who don't like really follow Elvis obviously like us, no one's doing that, girl." But like people back home, they're like, "So what do they do for what do you mean Elvis week? Like it's a week of what?" And it's like, "Oh, it's just celebrating the week of like celebrating his life because that was the last week of his life." And they do like a vigil on the 15th and like everybody comes with their candle and they're like, "Really? People come and they stand there with a candle." And it's like, "Yeah, like you," and they're like, "So like a couple people or how many people usually come?" And it's like, I couldn't even give you a number. It's crowds of people. It's the whole street's blocked off and they can't they're like, "Wow, that's crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, like there's nothing like it. I can't think of anything like it."
And I think even if people that don't get it, they say things like, "Oh, Elvis fans are crazy." Like, did you see the back of Elvis's bracelet? He was also
Yeah.
crazy. So we're all
Yeah.
in this together. It's fine.
Literally. And listen, you think it's crazy if you don't understand it. I've always that's something that Elvis has taught me. Like people will think that you're crazy if they don't understand what you mean, what you're talking about, if they don't take the time. And that goes with Elvis as well. Like people who judge Elvis, I completely 100% believe that they just don't understand him.
Mm-hmm.
They don't
100%.
understand
Yeah.
or you wouldn't be making those assumptions and judging him off of actions that you just don't understand. Like, and the same thing with the fans. You wouldn't be judging people who have this love for him so deeply unless you also understood that love. And not everybody will, but it doesn't mean you're crazy. It just means they don't understand it.
And I think some people haven't experienced a love like it, like that.
No.
And so
Mhm.
I don't think I would be able to understand it if I'd never
Yes.
experienced a level of love like that.
Yeah.
And
It's very different.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think to me it really, it shows me that true love isn't about, like a relationship. True love is
Mhm.
like true love. When
Yeah.
when you witness people online, you know, people as in like sharing Elvis stuff online, people that were there at the vigil, people who celebrate at home.
Hmm.
There is no purer love than that sort of love.
Agreed. 1,000%. I've always
Mhm.
said like Elvis has taught me like what true love actually is, and like
Yes.
what dedication is, like
Yeah.
in spite of things, in spite of literally like missing the other side. Like he's not even here. Like, and he's taught me what it means to truly love a person in a way that I've never loved anybody else in my life. And that's something that if you say to just anybody, they'll be like, you need help mentally.
Yes.
Um and it's like, no, like I don't know how to explain it. You just can't. But it's a different love than you might feel for your family or for your friends or whatever. It's a very deep, I don't know, like it's just a different feeling. And he's the
It's
one who taught me that.
yeah, and it's a gift that he left. I think it's the
Yes.
best gift anyone could ever receive, but it's the best gift that anyone could leave behind, and that he left that, you know. He
Yeah.
he gave it and then he left it, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and we still feel it right now, and it's just the
Yes.
best gift to leave.
Oh, I love that so much. It's so true because he was overflowing with it when he was here. And
Mhm.
I don't think that you can leave a legacy like that and then just fade away and then it be gone. Like he's touched so many people and it just keeps trickling down generation after generation. This love that he left is still being shared. And like how crazy is that? Like to
Mhm.
have left that big of a legacy and impact on hearts that it's just still being felt by young girls who have never even met you, but
Yeah.
we feel like you're our friend. That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like this connection, you cannot explain it. You cannot
No.
unless you and, like, I just own it now. Like, I know I look crazy if you don't get it.
Right. No.
That's
But like
okay.
it's me. It's me.
Yeah,
I can't.
and I'm like, "That's fine." But I think, you know, like, I've had people message me before, and it's like, "I was picked on at school today because I'm an Elvis fan."
Yeah.
And it's just like, like, they'll never understand. I always say if you know, and if you don't, you don't. And,
Yeah.
like, it's okay either way,
Yeah.
but I don't know, once and it's just about owning it, I think, and just, like and sometimes, if people are not nice to other people just because 'cause they're an Elvis fan, I'm like, "That is a huge you problem, and I'm genuinely so sorry we don't agree, and I'm
Mhm.
genuinely so sorry, that you don't understand."
Right.
Because it's something that is like it's like I said, it's a privilege to understand. It really, really,
Oh,
really is.
absolutely. It never says anything about you if somebody is horrible to you because of something you love and something you're passionate about. Like even if you're not passionate about the same things, it takes zero effort to support somebody else, you know? It's
Exactly, and
not like we're sorry, go ahead. You're good.
I just always say that I always say love will always win, and I
Yeah,
have confidence in that, and that it really because it just always will. If
right.
you and I always think, like, no matter what anyone says, if you don't lose that,
Yeah.
it's the most powerful thing.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
really is.
Absolutely. And like that's why I used to think like when I first started my Elvis stuff online, like if I didn't win over everybody that didn't agree with me or like didn't see things the way that I thought they should be seen, that I had like failed him and that like oh like they just don't get him and it's my fault that I can't explain it in a way that like they recognize that he was not a bad person. But it's like it's not that. And if they don't understand, they don't understand, and it's
Mhm,
he doesn't need them anyways if they're gonna be like that, and also, like you're saying, the people who love him will always outnumber the people who think that he's just some, like, fat rock and roll singer. Like, it feels, like, even illegal to say that, but, like,
I know,
I've had
yeah.
people oh, it's terrible, but I've had people say that he's nothing more than that, and it's like, well, if that's what you think, then, like, then I can't there's really nothing I could do unless you take the time to understand. And if you're not going to do that, then like that's fine. But I've seen that like he's not going anywhere and he's in the hands of all these amazing people who keep the love alive. And as long as there's that, you don't have to worry about the other people who don't get it because we don't need them anyways. We already have, he's fine. He will be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. And I just think, that's why I'm just like, so like, I always, I live by it, is that love will always win. Even if
Hmm.
someone is, people that just don't get it, and, they're not very nice to people that do get it. Like, I
Hmm.
always think, just hold your place of love. Always. There's
Yep.
no need to be matching the energy that they bring. Show up in
No.
your own energy of that love. It
Yeah.
just we can see in the community, and at events like Elvis Week, or anything, you can see that love through and through, and that is worth 10 times more
Hmm.
than I don't know, than comment online.
Yeah.
It's about remembering those times of
Yeah.
like, it's fine, because I mean, it's most of the time it is easier said than done. But you
Mm-hmm.
think of the fact of like, I'm so sorry you don't understand it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
genuinely, I'm so sorry, and that's okay to disagree. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna I'm not gonna give you what you want. I think of like being like trying to tear him down. It'll just never work.
Right.
I promise. People, no matter
Right.
what people have said over the years, anything like that, like actions, people
Right.
always turn up every day to Graceland. People
Hmm.
always turn up for Elvis every single day.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's
Right.
it's it's like a drop in an ocean, you know?
It's true because there has been things said about him even before he died. Like people have been doing this for decades and it hasn't impacted his lasting power like over hearts at all in any way because the people who do care and the people who um like care to learn about him and understand him are in my mind always going to outnumber those who are ignorant and who don't care and who don't want to understand it at all. And like you're saying, yeah, it's like sad that people just choose to throw it away because we know how special it is and we know how much it's changed us and how much joy it's brought to our lives, all these things. And it's
Yeah,
like, oh man, if everybody had like a passion like this, like the world would just be like a better place. Like
a
I feel
hundred
bad for
percent.
people who don't, right? Like,
100, yeah,
yeah,
100%. It's
yeah,
just this thing that is like, yeah, I'm just always like, I'm so sorry you don't get it,
yeah.
because it's just, I don't
It's
know, it's like, just it's worth so much
it
in
is.
a sense, it's just, so I always say, I'm sorry you don't get it.
Yeah.
I genuinely am, and that's genuinely from my heart,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
something, can't even describe it. I always say that I can't even describe it.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
it's
it is,
true.
yeah. But God, any event, people just turn up, and it's always crowded. It's always got people turning up, and that, oh my gosh, that's like worth not even £1 million could even say that. You
I
know,
know. I
priceless.
know. That everlasting love, it's so apparent and so much, and he's not going anywhere, and he's in such good hands with people like you and, like, so many other people in the community. It's, like, so heartwarming and so touching, and it really gets to the point where it's like you see those negative things said about him, and it's just like, well, like, okay, like, if that's the way you think, it's okay, but, like, what you think is not going to impact truth, and also just, like, his like, I don't know, like, the magic that he has left on earth that has, like, impacted so many people. There are gonna always be people who love him and who care about him and carry him, I think, forward throughout the years, and that's just something that's been, like, cemented for me through having to deal with, like, hate and negativity from people. It's just, like, it's at the end of the day, like, that doesn't change what's reality, and, like, I
Mhm.
know the reality of what he looks like in the world now, and I just girl, I'm not worried. Like it is what it is. I don't know.
Exactly. And I see far much more love than I
Yes,
do anything else. And I always think that's the most important thing. Just I
absolutely.
wouldn't change it for the world, like to be a part of that. I genuinely
No,
wouldn't. And I'm just so
no.
grateful I decided one afternoon to go and watch a movie. You
Can
know?
you I can't even wrap my head around. I love hearing people's stories of how they found him because it's like every time I'm like, I can't think of another like entertainer or like somebody who would just like have that much impact over somebody's life and change it so drastically. Like, I mean, I'm sure there are other people out there, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like Elvis love is so strong and unlike anything that I've ever witnessed before. And
Hmm.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
And you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel it. Like that's how powerful it is. You
Yeah.
don't just see it, you like feel it to the core.
Yes. You know it's true. And you feel it every time you're in Memphis, every time you log on to Instagram or watch a video on YouTube that's related. It's like I feel like I found home in a community of people, and it's just the best feeling ever because you're not alone in the way that you feel, and like so many people express that in their own unique individual ways, and there's nothing like it.
I think that's the beauty as well of witnessing how other people show up for it, like show up
Yeah.
out of love. I
Hmm.
just I just love how everyone has a different way of showing it, and there's no
Yeah.
wrong way. There genuinely
No.
isn't.
No, no, no. No. I mean, loving him is loving him, period. And it's that's all that matters. Like you said, I'm gonna use that now. Like love is the actual like core of everything,
Yeah,
especially in this community. Like you can
yeah,
love him through making edits or through singing or through making art, like whatever you do. And
yeah.
it's like he's still in the hearts of so many, and you can see it through all these diverse ways that people express themselves. And it's just so
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think just to see everyone showing up out of that the same reason and the
Mhm.
same um, understanding of something and someone
Yeah.
is just like just can't beat it. Like
No,
I
not at
like I
all.
said, I genuinely I don't know. I just I couldn't imagine life without like this community, learning, Elvis,
Yeah.
finding my favorite place on earth.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine life now without that.
No. You can't go back. Like you
No,
won't find this anywhere else. Like you're hooked
no,
now
literally,
forever.
no, you literally will not.
No.
You just, yeah. I mean, everyone has different ways of loving in the entire world, whatever you're choosing to love and stuff like that. But
Right.
it's the same with, like I said, it's the same with like the Elvis world. And that's
Yeah.
what is the beauty of being in a community is.
Yeah. Yeah. That shared love and that shared understanding and just knowing like you can come here, you can say what you're feeling and somebody out there is going to resonate with it. And it's because I know I don't really have that where I'm from. I don't have like just a friend down the street I can go to and say like have you seen like this new like release or something like and geek out over something about Elvis. I don't have that here. Um so to have like a whole family of people that get it, that I can just turn to and be like, "Guys, what do you think?" Or like, "Oh, I'm so excited about this. Who else feels?" Like, I don't know. It's just I didn't know I needed it until I had it. And now that I have it,
Yeah.
I'm like, I couldn't live without it.
It's vitamin E.
Yeah. No, for real. For real, my daily dose. I need it
Yeah.
to survive.
Yeah. Couldn't live without it now. Could
Absolutely.
not live without vitamin E.
No, it's actually an essential for everyday life.
Yeah. Yeah.
This song, conversation was so good. I literally didn't even need the questions because we just hit like everything that I ever could have wanted to talk about. I love it so much. Um, no, but like one last thing before we close it off. I like to like end each episode with this, but like if you could put into words how you would like Elvis to be remembered, how would you how would you like share that?
For me, That's actually such a good question. That is
And I
such
feel so
a
bad.
good
I'm like, I don't mean to
question.
put you on the spot because
Oh,
I know it's
yeah.
deep, but right? Like it's a deep question, but like how would you, for other Elvis fans, or like how would you say, how would you like proclaim that? Like this is how I hope Elvis is remembered in the years to come.
I think it's what we've already said, is that love and understanding,
Yeah.
and it genuinely, like, to me, is the love. And I think that's how he would want to be remembered,
Yeah.
is people, like, love being at the core of all he did and all people do for him.
Mhm.
And I know it's really a simple answer, but just his love and our love, and
Yeah.
what and how moving it is, and to be a part of that, and to, yeah, I genuinely think love is and just who he
Mhm.
was, and accepting all of him, and as we've spoken about. And I think it's, yeah, for me it's just like he's really moved people, helped people, changed people's lives. And yeah, I think I would want him to be remembered for his journey,
Yeah.
not just his music, his movies, nothing. They were great,
Mhm.
but it's him, like hit the him. That's
Yeah.
how I would want people to, like, take that adventure of, like, deep diving into forming, like, your own opinion and finding out who he was, because along the way you'll find out who you are too. And I think
Yeah.
that's how I would want, like, that's how I would want in years and years to come, people to feel this love and connection and him. And yeah, like,
Yeah. I love that.
it sounds like a really plain answer, but it's not.
No, and it's so, I mean, that's just like what we have now, I feel like is all we can really hope for the future. Like we're talking about, it's trickling down, and his love is just being carried throughout the generations. And yeah, I just hope that that continues to be the case, and that people still feel that, because I know that, like, I've heard people talk about why they just don't understand, like, oh, how is Elvis still like held to this regard in 2024, given like all of these things, and then they list the things that they think is wrong with him or whatever. Like I just don't understand how people can love him this much this many years later and not know, like, the kind of person that they're sharing. And it's like, but the thing is that we do know, and that's why we love him, is because we know him, and we've taken the time to understand him and the love that he had, and like the kind of person that he was. And yes, he made mistakes, we all do. Like yes, he there was parts of his life that weren't pretty, but who can say anything different for their life, you know what I mean? Like it's human, and it's his humanity as what I feel like people, at least I, connect to the most. And I think even
Mhm.
back then, when you're going to see an Elvis show or whatever, like those people loved the way he sang, yes. Like they loved getting a scarf, yes, but they loved the way that he made them feel when he would stop for every person he could to give an autograph or a kiss, or just like talk to them during the show, take time to just make them feel like you're his friend. And that's why we love him so much today. And yeah, I agree with you. That love, I just hope that people remember that that's really what carries everything and what makes him so relevant. He left that, and like that's what makes him one of the greatest people who have ever lived, is because of that love that he shared.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
100%.
I
That is the
agree.
core.
Yes. I'm gonna use that like every day now. I'm literally gonna write that down, and it's gonna be at the forefront of my mind. That's such a good way to put it, because it's so true. I mean, you
I
just
think
experience it every day.
I think that's why, like, sometimes I am quiet online sometimes, and I genuinely,
Mm,
because I only ever want to show up in love.
yeah.
I'm gonna just post because, oh, I need to post.
Right.
I genuinely only show up and, like, post from a place of love and from my
Mhm.
heart.
Mhm.
and not just because, or just, you know, like I genuinely will only ever show up how I want it to be felt.
Yes.
Does that make sense? And
Yes.
yeah, that's because love is at the front of it, and I don't want anything else to interrupt that, or, you know, I want it to be received as I put it out, and that is out of pure love. So I'll never turn up and just, oh, I need to get this out, I'll do this. Like I genuinely, I will wait until I am like, I understand how I feel, I understand that I want to put this out, and I understand, I always think of him. You know, like, would he like this? Would he appreciate this? Things like that. And like, that's why, like, certain, like, you know, certain book stories I'd never share, because it's like, I'm not sure he would appreciate that. And that's because he's like at the front of what I do. It's always about, it's never about, you know, like, it's never about, like, for me, it's never about like, look what I got to do today, look what I got to hold today. I want people to come with me. I want people to feel that with me. And it's a privilege to have done, you know, held some of the things and things like that. And my biggest wish will always be for every single Elvis fan to experience holding something of his, being at Graceland. That is my biggest wish ever. And that's why I like to take people with me. And you know, and all I do is like, it's like, you're on this with me. If it wasn't for you guys watching, I'd still post. Like, we wouldn't all be feeling this way, or we wouldn't all be connected.
You're sharing that love with other people.
Yeah. And I'll never just do something to say I did it. That's, you know, I'll always do something with my heart, like that at the core, and Elvis's love, you know, the love for Elvis, things like that, right at the core. And we experience it together. I never say, like, I say it's my Elvis journey, but without the people receiving, and like, it's like this huge, you know, in the comment section, sometimes I'm like, the love is just, I'm never not grateful. I never take it for granted. And I'm always thinking, like, I always say I'm grateful to have a voice in a community that is so important and so love driven. I wouldn't change it for the world. And that's why I like it. I like to be like on a journey with people and experience things with people. It's never about, like I said, I got to hold this. Like, no, I want people to understand. I want people to be here with me. I want us to talk about it. I want us to share moments together. I want to hear about their moments. I want to see their moments. This is a journey for all of us. And it's a community. It's a huge community. And we are all a part of it. We are all one. You know?
Oh, I love it. I love how you just like, you have, I don't know, there's just like something about you where you just like embody community. Like, you, if I were to explain the Elvis community, I would literally just show them, I would show somebody like your account. I'd be like, like, what she does is so like heartwarming and touching, because she just, it shows, like, not to keep like love bombing you, but it's like, I don't know. It's just everything you post, and people appreciate that too. Cause like, some people can only imagine of going to Graceland. It's like, I'm so lucky that I've been, but it's like some people can only imagine going, and it's so nice. And I think that really truly is what community is to bring people along and to share that love and that passion with other people, and to, I don't know, to like just talk about it with other people. And that's what it's all about, really. So I really just admire and respect what you do so much. And if like people who are watching this on YouTube, if you don't follow Ellie, like, can you like share your Instagram handle so they can find you?
Yeah, my Instagram handle is elvis.els, which is ELVIS, we all know, .ELLS.
Love it.
And
Like,
people always say, is your real name Ellie? Like, for real? Because I think they think it's very close to Elvis. And I say, yes. No, that is
I did not name myself.
It's not a stage name.
It's not my stage name. I love that so much. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? Just like, my name is Elvis. It's like, no, okay. All right. Please. No, but if you guys are not following Ellie, please check her out. She like I keep saying, she just embodies like Elvis's she's all about talking about Elvis's love, and then like it's even better because that's like at the forefront of everything that she does, and you can just see that she does everything with that love. And like I thank you for keeping that alive and just for sharing everything with us.
Well, thank
Cuz
you as well.
yeah.
You're just
Oh,
amazing. You
thank
really are.
you.
You really
Thank you.
are. And even doing things like this where you're talking to different people and we get to watch that and be a part of that conversation, that's
Yeah.
really special to have that,
Yeah.
to watch
I
along.
know it.
And you feel like you're in the conversation. You're like, oh yeah, I do get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's special what you're
Yes.
doing. It really
Thank
is. It's
you.
really
Thank
special.
you. I
Everything you
thank
do.
Thank you. That means a lot. That means so much. And I am so grateful that like you came on with me and like talked to me, and because I continue to learn. I continue to learn about me and about Elvis and about the love people have for him. And it's just so like refreshing to see that it's so alive in beautiful ways in different people. And like you are just a perfect example of that. So thank you for coming on and just talking with me today.
Thank you. It's actually been an honor. It's
Oh,
an honor and a privilege. And thank you for asking me because
absolutely.
I've been waiting for this.
Girl, listen, we'll do it again. And we gotta do it in person. Like we gotta go back to Memphis and we gotta hang.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Need to
Okay.
walk through the exhibits, the house, everything.
Don't get me started. I will cry.
I know,
I will
me
start
too.
crying.
I cry anyway.
I know, by myself, with other people, it doesn't matter. I'm always in tears. Always.
Yeah,
It's fine.
literally.
Yeah. But no,
Can't
we'll
help
have to go to
myself.
the Lisa exhibit and see the jumpsuits to get like all these things, get ice
That
cream at
exhibit
Minnie
too,
Mae's.
that
So
extension.
good. So
I
good.
just, I can't. They haven't even sorted most of her stuff out. Like that's just like a snippet. Like they've got so much to sort through.
I'm so happy. Like she deserves that. She deserves that recognition and that expansion of her life. And it was awesome to see that. That was
Yes,
incredible.
yes, and I hope everyone can get to see that too because that was just like. And I actually haven't spoken about this, but on my last day, I went over to the exhibit again, like
Yeah.
because I go into the Lisa exhibit just to watch the stuff, things like that.
Yeah.
And I went in there and I looked on the bench and I thought, there is no way right now. It was Jerry was sat on his own watching Lisa. So
No.
yeah, yeah, and I got goosebumps and I was like, he was
Oh,
sat watching her on the TV. And I had the honor of watching his funeral speech with him right there.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, he just took his own time and he was going around, he was looking at everything. He had tears in his eyes. Like we have a photo together and he's got tears in his eyes. And he was showing me all of his stuff, like in the part where it's his photo albums and he was talking about it. And I just thought, you just can't beat this. I'm sorry, but this is like
No.
I was
That's
just, I
amazing.
couldn't believe, and I was just watching him watch her, watching him look at all of her stuff, and it was.
Oh,
I haven't spoken about that yet, so but yeah, that
okay.
was.
That needs its own post for real. Like
I know,
you have
yeah,
to walk us through that because that doesn't happen every day.
no, and
Oh,
just some of the things he was saying, and I don't know, he's. I know that people like to ask him about Elvis, obviously,
yeah.
but it was an honor to ask him about Lisa in her
Yeah.
exhibit, and yeah,
He had a deep love for Elisa, and you could
yeah,
tell. You could tell.
yeah, 100%, and I was just like, this is a blessing right here. He was just all on his own and watching Lisa, and I was like, there's no way. Yeah, and he was just
That's awesome.
showing us like all the stuff and
That's
talking
awesome.
about it. And I got to tell him, like after the speech, I was like, that was such a beautiful speech. Thank you. And
Yeah.
he was like, thank you. And I thought that was an honor to tell him,
Yeah.
to say that
Yeah.
to his face after watching it with him. And I just thought, I did not think that would ever happen. But
It's crazy how life works out sometimes when it's just those little magical moments. Because literally, also, like, the complex could have been packed and, like, there could have been people surrounding him, and you would have not gotten that time. Like, any other time, probably the complex would have been busy or there would have been some
mhm,
other people there. And it's just like to have time alone is a
yeah,
blessing in and of itself. So
and like a
that's
little like
amazing.
personal tour of like put his
Yes.
bits in there and to talk
Yes.
about it. And I was just like, what is going on?
That isn't, you need to post. I'm
Yeah.
waiting for it now. I'm waiting for it. Oh
That's
my
what I'm like,
word.
my Elvis content is coming because it's full of moments like that. And I'm like,
Yeah,
it's a
it
lot
takes
to get out.
time.
It's overwhelming sometimes, you know. I'm
It
sure
takes time.
to get things
Ye-
out. It can be
Yeah,
so overwhelming, but I'll get there.
yeah.
I'll
Because
get there.
yeah, I get that. You want to do it justice though. It's like these are memories that I will have forever. And when I share them, I want people to feel that like magic that I felt
Hmm.
when I lived them. So it's
Yeah,
not something where you just write 4 sentences and post a picture and then you're done. It's like I'm
yeah,
sharing like my heart. Like I'm sharing,
yeah,
yeah, it's deep stuff. And I want to make sure it's done in a way where like people can feel what I felt.
yeah.
Yeah.
She gets it.
I get it. I get it. I love it and I get it. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to see everything that you do in the future, and I love following along with you when you, like, go to visit the little, like what the you have the archives, in London, like, that little exhibit thing, right?
Just left.
No, oh my gosh. So
I
it's, like,
know.
a temporary thing.
But they did send me something from it, and I have to share that as well.
Please see, this I'm so excited. I'm
I've been
so
quiet
pumped.
'cause I'm in my Memphis blues, but I've got a lot to share.
Yes, and I love it because literally me too, Memphis blues all the time, but then, like, we have people who continue to share moments from, like, Elvis Week and just moments that mean something to them, and it's like, "Okay, yes, I'm sad, I'm not there right now, but I have all of this wonderful love that I can turn to and, like, experience in another way as well." So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly that, exactly. And I didn't want to show up like half-heartedly. I wanted to get back into my, you know, get away. I can't get away from my feels. There's no way now. And like I said in my
Right.
last video, I said I accept that the Memphis blues are here forever until I'm
Yep,
back, and that
yep.
they're gonna just remain. So now I am in acceptance. I can move forward now.
Yes, it's true. It's just yeah, I posted about that the other day. It's just this homesickness that you have kind of just lingering there all year round until you go back. And then for like a couple days, a week, it's everything is perfect. And there's nothing in the world that is wrong and like time just stops. And then when you're away from it, it's just like this little twinge that like you always feel that's just that remembrance of something that you love so much until you're
Hmm.
back there. And so it's just kind of always there.
I said to you when I got home, I said, it feels like I've just lived my life in color and I have to return to black and white. That is
I lo-
literally Graceland right there, like Memphis, the whole
literally Literally. I'll never forget that. I literally wrote that down when you said that. Funny that you bring it up because I was
really.
like, true. Imagine literally being born and watching every single thing in your life in color and then to have to revert back to black and white.
Yeah. And
That's
that
what
is
it
like,
is.
as soon as I step off that plane, I'm back in color. And then I go back home and I'm in black and white.
Yeah. There's that dullness for
The
sure.
gray. Yeah, just the
Yeah.
gray.
The
Especially in the
grayness.
UK. It's always
Yes.
raining.
Girl.
It was
At least
raining
you
when we
can
were doing
like,
this.
oh no, we love that light. Like, thank you for showing up for us, girl, and giving us the lighting.
Yeah, well, I was like, there's no way it's gonna work out if there's no light because I'm
Can
in
you
the UK.
imagine? Can you imagine? No, you just turn that into like a little cozy, like light a candle, get a blanket, turn on Elvis movie, like period. Cozy day right there.
Yeah, 100%. It's
I
how I
love
live.
it. Same. Same. I love a cozy day. I love a cozy Elvis movie day.
Yeah, it's my little
Absolutely.
window into color, into life in color.
Yes.
Is when
Yes.
I escape through watching Elvis on tour. That's the way it is. Aloha, any movies.
Yep.
It
Yep.
just brings some color into my life.
Anything that can bring that little bit of happiness back. We act like we're like living in deep depression. Like we're not, but it's like I am sad constantly that I'm not there and with my friends. So
Yeah,
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 it's the pictures and the videos and the little things that you can turn back to and live it out just a little bit longer.
yeah. We all get it too. We all get
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Because even when I say about it, like Memphis Blues, they're like, me too. I'm in my
Yep,
Memphis Blues.
yep. Oh, that's a
That's me.
universal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody in this community, I feel like if you've been to Memphis, you get it.
Mhm.
You get it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
the best.
Now I'm like talking about it. But like this conversation helped me get out of it for a little bit.
Me
So
too.
thank you.
Me
Thank you.
too. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
honestly been an honor and a privilege. And thank you for asking me. And I can't wait to do it again.
Oh, absolutely. It will happen again. I feel like we're this. And like I can't believe I just met you this summer. That's crazy because I feel like I've known you forever and you're just such a light and I love you so much. So thank
As
you
are
for
you.
today.
You
Thank
too. Thank
Oh,
you.
I love it. All right. I'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye, my friend.
Bye.